think?
So think about the world we live in as a consumer. We are inundated with messages, with all kinds of marketing messages, with social media messages, just everything, right? We just have all kinds of information coming to us at all times.
Right.
So at whatever stage of the process you're in, how can you build in pattern interrupts? You mentioned the magnet photo. You mentioned, okay, if everything is showing me pools, and this is the example we did, and then I come out with a bedroom photo that's really bold and bright and a totally different color than the pools. In fact, a contrasting color, right? And then the pools, all the pools were blues and greens, and we came out with this orange room, right?
Yeah.
And that's a pattern interrupt. And when I can give the consumer a pattern interrupt, it causes them to pause.
Yeah.
And it causes them to think, what is that? And then what I'm trying to do is evoke that next action. Hey, listen, what is that? I'm going to click on it. Then I've got to give them another reason to go dive deeper, right? And so when it comes to any stage of the process, I need to give them something that seems different and something that is going to keep their attention to where if it's all the same and everything's blending in and we're just getting hit with all this stuff, and then I have this pattern interrupt, it causes me to pause and think about anything in your own life. Like if we were sitting here and we're having this conversation, you and I are talking, we're talking about all this stuff, and all of a sudden we hear this big loud boom in the other room. We're like, whoa, what was that? Right? It's a pattern interrupt. I need to figure out how to build in those pattern interrupts throughout every stage of the process for the consumer. We actually try to do it while they're staying at our properties because we want to evoke certain emotions while they're there as well. And some of those pattern interrupts are the scent machines, right? You walk in the door just like you would at any 5-star hotel and they've got their own scent. You walk in and you're like, oh, what is that? That smell? It's a pattern interrupt, right? And so we build them in throughout. So as a business owner, as an investor, as a host, trying to build in the pattern interrupts from the very beginning stages of the search to the end of when they stay with you is how are you building in these things that are different and unique that gives the consumer one, it becomes memorable, right? It doesn't fit in. It becomes, we start to ingrain it into our memory. When we have all these pattern interrupts, we start to remember things a lot better. And so you remember that part of the conversation on an 8-hour workshop. That was something you remember because it was different, right?
Yeah, it was huge to me. It was, I mean, I just love the way you called it. You said, look at all these pools. Everything was nice and light blue. And then boom, with this orangey sunset room, it was clearly a scroll stopper. What about like someone putting like spring break exclusive or spring break something in their headline?
The problem with something like that is while it may look like a pattern interrupt on the platform, it looks very, very markety and very like promotional on a and so we're still kind of used to seeing all those promotions. If I'm scrolling on Instagram or on my feed on Facebook or wherever on my internet, I see promotions all day long, and that looks really promotional. We don't like, as consumers, we don't like you to tell us you're selling me something, right? Even though we're always buying, we always want to be sold. We don't like to be told we're being sold, right? And so it becomes a little bit kind of cringy, and so I don't like that type of a pattern interrupt. I want the pattern interrupt to be a more natural pattern interrupt and a positive pattern interrupt, right? Because you can have positive and negative pattern interrupts. The negative headlines we started with, those are pattern interrupts. We know that we will stop and focus on negative information, and we know that becomes a pattern interrupt. We want to click more. What does that mean? What does that look like? And so that's an example of a negative pattern interrupt. When you're in business, I try to choose the more positive pattern interrupts. They become memorable and they work just as well.